Hey everybody, welcome to Grim Loot. Today we're going to talk about the monk. We're going to talk about some tips and tricks on how to play the monk, especially in those early levels. We're going to talk about some things I wish I knew before I started playing the monk. Then of course we'll talk about some tips and tricks for combat for the monk. So if you are new to ARPGs, if you are new to Path of Exile 2, then welcome to Grim Loot. This is the place for you. This is very much a by casuals for casuals. Oh no, I'm getting attacked. This is very much a by casuals for casuals, low stakes, low pressure. We're just trying to learn the game. I've only played 2 other ARPGs in my life, so if I can learn this game, you can too. And that's sort of the point of this thing. So let's dive into the monk. First and foremost, the monk is a quarterstaff wielding character. So think like Jackie Chan in any role he's ever been in, or Aang from Avatar The Last Airbender. That's sort of the archetype that you're playing as. So let's start with some things I wish I knew before I played the monk. First and foremost, I wish that I knew melee is challenging. This game doesn't have difficulty modes inherently built in, like in the settings or anything, but if you want to play it a little bit harder, play melee. And in the early levels of monk, you are not going to feel powerful. You basically have one attack, which is just smack, 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 and that's it. And you're moving kind of slow, where typically you're thinking of the monk as like this dexterous, lithe, quick on their feet, fast-hitting type character. And in the early levels, that's very much not the case. And obviously, as you level up, you start feeling that way. So if you're feeling bad in that levels 1 through 3, 1 through 5, somewhere in that range, just stick with it. It gets a lot better. And eventually, you sort of feel like an elemental god. Playing the monk in the early levels, again, you just have this kind of R1 attack. You aren't able to really have a lot of distance with your enemies, and that kind of feels rough in those first hours. And so what I did to combat that, first and foremost, is I equipped a bow as my second item, as my secondary item. And so then that maps it. If you look at the hotbar, it's down at L1, and he pulls out a crossbow, uses the crossbow. And I use this in the early levels to sort of help me get through them because, again, fighting in that close quarters combat, I was dying more often than I care to admit. So having this sort of helped let me keep some distance, and then when they got in close, I could come in there and do some attacks. The other thing that I did to sort of help with keeping some distance and not getting absolutely just destroyed in close quarters combat is I took some skills that were spells. So for example, I took Spark, which lets your monk kind of shoot lightning out in front of them. I took Orb of Storms, which lets you do this little ball of lightning that just strikes out, and anytime they're in that little bubble, they're taking lightning damage. And then comboing that with the bow just really let me have kind of distance between enemies. Now, if you watched my mercenary video last week, I talked about the need to have skills that can combo with each other, both for like AoE and single target damage. That's also very much the case with monk, and it feels so good with the monk. You feel like an elemental god. You feel like Aang from Avatar. So let's just talk about a couple of the combos that I really liked. Let's go to an area where I'm not going to get absolutely wrecked when I show this off. Okay, so the first combo that I found that I really enjoyed, these aren't necessarily like monk skills, they're not like quarterstaff skills. I took spells, but the first is to throw down fire and then use spark. And you'll notice, let me just get through this horde really quick. You'll notice when you throw down the fire and then throw spark through it, it now does fire and lightning damage. So it kind of combos the two skills together, which is really cool. The other combo that I found that is really great is comboing the Tempest Bell and Orb of Storms, they're both AoE, and they're both like kind of smaller little circles on the map. So to use that Tempest Bell, is that what it's called? Yes, to use the Tempest Bell, if you notice down on the hotbar, there's a 0 next to it. So you need to chain together a couple of attacks with your quarterstaff first, and then you can use this. So let's find a horde here, and then I'll show you. So you can kind of... Once you have 4, then you can call this bell, and then throwing that on top of it in the same spot kind of just double dips on the AoE. And the cool thing with this bell, which I'll show you here, is if you hit it with elemental damage, it rings out elemental damage as well, which is really cool. So not only are you doing this, the standard damage from the bell, you're doing elemental damage. And so having those two together that kind of take the same space on the map and do multiple things, I found is very helpful. Another great combo that I found is actually because of my support gems. So let's just quickly go over the support gems. If you aren't sure what support gems are, I did talk about it in my last video, but I'll just go over it real quick here. So you get uncut skill gems and uncut support gems. Let's see if I have one. I don't have one in my inventory right now. But I'll show one on screen. That's what they look like. Anyway, so these uncut skills you craft into specific skills like Falling Thunder or Glacial Cascade or Flame Wall. And then these uncut support gems you craft into specific things that will support your skills. And so, for example, let's just look at my quarterstaff and I'll manage socket. So this here is a support gem. This support gem is called Martial Tempo. And you'll see it's a support gem because under Martial Tempo, it says support. And then it says supports attacks, causing them to attack faster. Supported skills have 25% more attack speed. So you then socket this in to your skills. And so you see the various sockets. And what's great, under supportable skills, you'll see everything with the green checkbox is a skill that this support gem can support. So for example, I have it on my just my standard attack, but I could take it and put it on Falling Thunder or Glacial Cascade. But you'll see the ones that I'm not allowed, the ones that I can't use it on, it pops up in red, says this can't be socketed into this skill. This support can't be socketed into the skill. So again, this really lets you kind of customize how you want to play your character, really changes sort of the gameplay. It makes it really fun. You kind of get to try out all these different combos by socketing different supports into different skills. So that out of the way, let's talk about another combo that I found that's really great because of a support gem. Okay, so I've got this support called Innervate. It supports attacks you use yourself, and killing a shocked enemy with supported skills infuses all of your attacks with lightning damage for a short time. Attacks gain 35% of damage as lightning damage for 3 seconds on killing a shocked enemy with supported skills. So if I kill a shocked enemy with my Killing Palm attack, then all of my attacks do 35% of damage as lightning for 3 seconds. And what makes this great is I've got a lot of other electricity-based things. I can get enemies shocked with my Falling Thunder skill. I can get enemies shocked with my Spark skill. I can get enemies shocked with my Orb of Storms skill. And then when I destroy an enemy with Killing Palm, now I'm doing shock damage for 3 seconds. So I've got lots of ways to get enemies shocked, and then I finish them off with this Killing Palm, and it works great. So let's see if I can find a little horde to kind of show this off. So let's get some enemies shocked. And you'll see on the characters, they'll have this sort of glowing icon on them. And let me explain that real quick. So the Killing Palm lets you dash to an enemy and strike them with an unarmed attack, culling enemies if their life is low enough. Each enemy killed by this strike grants a power charge. Enemies around you that can be culled will be highlighted. And so that's that little glowing thing that you saw. That means that they can be culled, and that means I can come in there and killing palm them. So this is a great like final attack strike, and it's helping me in two ways. One, it's giving me innervate because I'm using this attack to finish them off. So now I'm doing lightning damage for several seconds, for 3 seconds after I destroy an enemy. But in addition, now this is building up power charges, and a power charge lets me combo with Falling Thunder. So you'll see in the description of this attack, infuses your quarterstaff with electric energies, then slam the ground to deal in a large cone in front of you. Consumes your power charges to fire lightning projectiles forward from the impact. So let's show how that works. So you can see I have 3 little orbs spinning around me, and then down by my hotbar you'll see there's kind of a countdown going. I have 14 seconds to consume this. So I've culled enough enemies using that strike that now I can use the Falling Thunder and do a much bigger Falling Thunder attack. So this is standard. It's kind of like a little small one out in front of me. But then when I use that attack, let's get some to cull. There's one to cull. Boom. Now I have a massive AoE, and look how it just took them all out over there. Fantastic. So having these combos is really helpful. So finding these synergies is going to be really helpful, and I would even say crucial to your survival. Now, I was earlier talking about skill gems. I found a skill gem on an enemy. This is a level 3 skill gem, so this lets me create a skill or upgrade an existing gem to level 3. So let's take a look at that. So these are the quarterstaff ones that you can unlock, and I haven't used all of them. Like Frozen Locust doesn't like seem interesting to me. Vaulting Impact seems kind of cool. Staggering Palm seems pretty cool. But because you're sort of just only tied to what your specific stats are, you can, like I said, I went and got elemental stuff. That's how I was able to get the Flame Wall and Spark. But there's lots of different things you can do. So you're kind of just searching for these combos that, one, look fun to play, but two, make sure you sort of cover all your bases for the different damage types, because some enemies are going to be resistant. So for right now, I think I'm totally just fine upgrading one of my skills. So if you just kind of cycle through, you'll find upgradable, and these are the ones I can upgrade. So I do use Spark a lot because, again, I'm trying to, get everybody shocked. So then I can use Killing Palm, which gives me Innervate, which then lets me do Electric, lets me do lightning damage for 3 seconds. So I'm kind of comboing that. So for my sake, that just seems like the option to do. So that's what I'm going to do. So now you'll see Spark is now a level 3 skill. And you can see, so Quarterstaff's level 4, Falling Thunder's level 3, etc., etc., etc. Now, I do have a new passive skill that I can use. So let's kind of look through this skill tree. I'm not saying that I am building this correctly. I'm not saying I'm building this optimally. I'm not even saying that I understand the skill tree right now. But I'll kind of show what I've been doing that sort of helps with the combos that I'm building up with my skills. So the first thing is I took skill speed, because in those early levels I noticed how slow I was, and I just went skill speed to increase attack damage all the way through to this flow like water. These sort of like bigger nodes are kind of like the key ones that you're trying to dash towards and get these. So this gives me 8% increased attack and cast speed, plus 5 dexterity and intelligence, and that's what was able to let me start using spells. And then there's multiple ways you could go. I could have went for more critical chance, and you could build all around just getting crits. I could have went for more speed, gain life per enemy killed, enhance your evasion and your energy shield. So it kind of depends on like how you want to play and what you feel you're weak at or what's hurting you in the game, and then just use this passive skill tree to sort of buff your weaknesses or really enhance your strengths. So I went for increased shock chance, since I'm trying to get enemies shocked so that I can use all my other skills that combo and do the things that I want them to do. So 15% increased chance to shock, 5% damage as extra lightning damage, 30% increased chance to shock, 15% increased chance to shock. And then here I took more dexterity. I probably, if I'm being honest, should have taken strength, because strength does directly affect your health, or dexterity affects like your evasion and your accuracy with hitting things. I wasn't really struggling with my accuracy. I wasn't really struggling with evasion. I probably should have taken more health. This might be something that I refund later. So it would be really nice if you were going this critical chance route. You can just kind of keep going that through, increasing your crit chance all the way through. But where I went this sort of shock route, I'm thinking I'm going to go up here to get shock effect and mana regeneration. So 6% increased mana regeneration rate, the magnitude of shock. And I'm like, I don't know what magnitude is, so I'm going to look at that. The magnitudes of a buff or debuff are the values of the stat it applies to the target. A buff or debuff with higher magnitudes is more powerful, so it's just going to be stronger. And so if I keep doing that, I'll have, another 6% mana regenerate, 10% magnitude of shock. Same thing, 6%, 10%, and then you get to this alternating current where you get 25% increased mana regeneration rate if you have shocked an enemy recently. I don't know what recently means, so let's highlight that. Recently refers to the past 4 seconds. So if I've shocked an enemy in the past 4 seconds, then I get 25% increased mana rate. Is that sort of pigeonholing me into really having to shock enemies? Yes, if I come across an enemy that is shock resistant, this is going to like make my life a lot harder. It might be worth it to just go a different route. But I'm sort of taking a look at these bigger nodes to try and decide what is good for my build. I can come over here and get Echoing Frost. I can come in here and do Echoing Thunder, Echoing Flames. This might be a node that's worth just coming in here and just knocking out all of these, because these are increasing all elemental damages. And as a monk, and as kind of the way that I've built my monk specifically, yeah, I'm doing a lot of elemental damage. So that's maybe another even better way to go. So kind of have the question before me, is it worth it to kind of chase down this shock and mana regeneration route, or is it going to be better to kind of rush over to these elemental damages? Not sure. Luckily, there is the ability to refund and kind of play around with this. So it is a little expensive right now, and it's sort of punishing to do that, but I have faith that that'll kind of get fixed in different patches, or gold will become a little more abundant, so it's not so painful to do so. So for now, regardless of whether I go to this alternating current or I try and get these extra elemental damages, my very next step is going to be +5 to any attribute anyways. So I'm going to take that. And I should have done this last time. I'm going to take strength. We're going to buff my health. So now looking at my character, wow, yep, my life went up. I think I was in the like 190s, so this puts me at 213. This is definitely low. Really quick, see how I have this like open ring slot? I would highly suggest, especially in the early levels, if you have enough gold to afford buying these from a vendor, it's worth it to use all the slots available to you for your inventory, for your items, because this slot is not helping me. It's not doing anything for my character. So I went out and bought this amulet. I think it was like 2,000 gold or something. And is it specifically what I want to use for my build? Not necessarily. 27% increased mana regeneration is helpful, +9 dex. Yeah, this is helpful. It's better than having nothing, so I'm going to slot it in. But I have this other empty one. Now I just need to get enough gold and I'll go purchase one to drop in here. But it's doing me no good having this empty. So even if I just find another ring, almost no matter what the stats are of it, I just want to have it in there to help me out in some way, shape, or form. But I want to talk real quick. I found this ring and I'm super lucky I found it. This Affix which is just the little like bonuses an item can have. This affix is absolutely fantastic, and I know it's all RNG, but if you get a chance to get an item like this in the early levels, it is amazing. It will change the game. So if you'll see, I've got 8% increased rarity of items found, and that has led to me getting better items. I've got these boots that increase my armor 52%. They help my stun threshold. I take less damage from projectiles. I have a 10% chance to block. It also let me grab these, which if you're building like a crit build, I found this just an RNG, I would have 27% increased crit damage. My base critical hit chance for attacks and weapons is 8%. Kind of changes the game when you find better gear, obviously. I was able to find this because of that. So now I've got, higher energy shield. I've got higher life, fire resistance, lightning resistance. I'm regenerating my life quicker. I wouldn't have found any of these items without this plus 8% increased rarity of items found. Obviously, you can use your other currencies to kind of modify these items to help you, and I will do another video that explains what's an orb of transmutation, what's an orb of augmentation, what's a regal shard, what's a exalted orb, what's a regal orb. We'll cover all of this in another video. It is very confusing, especially when you've not played a lot of ARPGs before. You just look at them and like, okay. Anyways, I hope that this excites you. I'm gonna put some gameplay footage up while I'm talking here, just showing how awesome the monk can be. You do feel like an elemental god. You're doing all sorts of crazy damage. It's fun. So anyways, I hope you found this helpful. I hope this helps you through your first couple of levels of playing monk, learning some of the things that I learned, knowing some of the things I wish I knew when I started the monk. Hopefully that will help you not have to struggle in the early levels like I did. So if you enjoyed this video, I'd hope you consider subscribing, and I will catch you in the next one. Thanks so much. Bye. Oh, hold on, sorry, I'm getting my butt kicked. Wow, what a start. Okay.